Everybody, I'm Trisha, and I wanted to post another video about things like Bigfoot stories, land that has multiple different, unique, experiences, things that go on the land. Whether it's historic, paranormal, ghost things, cryptid things, UFO things, Native American area, territory. I have been studying these sorts of the land that has multiple things on it. I've been studying that and going to these places since 2013. And so I wanted to talk about that a little bit. I am in southern Georgia right now, and this place where I am is one of the places that I have found that actually has decent nature and nature feeling to it. It's if I were to continue walking and then get past any trails and just continue through bushwhacking, I would hit into the Ogeechee River. That's all I'll say about that, because not a whole lot of people know about this, I think, and I guess I kind of like that a little bit because it's really special here. I really like it, and I like going to land that feels really special like this. I mean, I feel pretty fortunate that in my life, growing up in California, spending a lot of years in California in the mountains and the country, that I have been able to be on land that feels really good. And then I purposefully, if I learn about a place that has multiple things going on in it, I have flown there and gone there to experience it myself. And so I wanted to kind of talk about that because I like teaching people about feeling different energy. And so I'm putting this on I have a YouTube channel called Exploring the Paranormal with Trisha Brown. And I'm also going to put this on my Facebook page. And I have been, my whole life, since probably elementary school, since elementary school, since I'm going to say 7 years old or so, I have been having experiences that are like profound, spiritual, mystical messages, feeling of presence, but really good, on the really good side. So, then I started studying metaphysics and understanding the difference, and went to spiritual studies school at Delphi University of Spiritual Studies in northern Georgia, and to continue developing my inner senses. We all have them, and I wanted to learn how to do it, specifically for using that tool to help me in my life, and for other people, to help other people, in life if they need it. So I'm going to just say, I want to talk about a story that, just it's a couple little things that I've experienced as far as what possibly might have been little bits of Bigfoot or Sasquatch, or what another name that I heard more recently called the tree people, which I really like that. And that name came from a tribe that lives in Arkansas. And I went to this place in Arkansas called Board Camp Crystal Mine. And on this land is where there is has been multiple experiences. UFO stuff. MUFON's been out there to check on the physical evidence. Bigfoot, the tree people, which I love that. That's kind of like what has started my more learning about it, because, and then, there's been orbs, seen big orbs. A couple TV shows has been on the land, and so many people go there to check out what's going on there. Plus, you can dig for crystals, and that's really cool because the husband, it's a couple that own the land, and he dug all this stuff for me, and he dug up some amazing crystals. I didn't even know that that could grow that way. It's so neat. And I had my own experience on that land too that I'll share. So I guess sort of the progression of my interest in Bigfoot started. Gosh, I'm trying to remember the order. So I guess it was when I went to Board Camp Crystal Mine, and because of the fact that I wanted to go to an area that had, multiple things going on the land. And so I was taken all over the trails where we could go, and then I was taken to the area where you do the crystal mining, which is a forest setting, just pretty much looks like this. I didn't know about that. Didn't know what to expect, if it was going to be like a cave that you went into, or like a hole in the ground or whatever, but literally you're just digging on the surface of the ground. Similar to looking like this. So the husband took me out there, and while we were there, another group came, and then so I asked if we could go somewhere else, because I kind of wanted, I like having my own experience, so I could tune in and feel the feeling of the place and hear my own, whatever I hear and feel, and all those things. I want my own experience without distractions and stuff like that. So he took me showed me around to some different areas that he said I could go in, and then I was able to kind of walk around by myself. Also, he showed me an area, that whole area where they do the crystal mining is called the nursery. And the native people, the tribe, I don't remember the name of the tribe that is from that area, have asked if they could do ceremonial work on their land, because they consider it sacred land, which makes sense to me. But they taught them a lot about the tree people, or Sasquatch, whatever you want to call them. And so he showed me. So there are areas where the grown-up tree people will take the younger tree people to the nursery to teach them how to manipulate the little saplings, the little trees, the little branches and stuff like that. And the reason for that is so that they can learn how to create markers all over the world. There's been Bigfoot sightings, and so they travel great distances, and apparently I don't have all the answers, but the markers are created in the trees, like pointing, this way or that way, or up or down, or different, pulling a sapling down and so it'll grow in an arch, or things like that. So he showed me where these little trees are pulled down, and then a log is placed over the top so that it holds the tree down, and then it grows that way. And then different, you'll see a tree with a branch pointing up, and then like an angle and another strange angle that is not natural. Things like that. Lots of them different angles, like as a arrow, go this way, or I don't know all the things, but I also saw where these little branches and stuff were placed in trees and along on the ground, and not from the weather, like how a tree will naturally fall from wind or rain, and it's not like that. This is like purposefully placed in spots that are not natural. So somebody put them there. And this is private land. So the only people that are on this land are the people that own the land. And then when they have people that go do the crystal digging, they go and check every day, and to see what's new and what's not, so that they can tell the difference between what a person coming to do the crystal digging does versus other things that could be from the tree people. So that was really fascinating. That was I really didn't, in all my years of knowing about Bigfoot, which is, I really didn't give it a whole ton of thought. I mean, where I'm from in California, there's random museums in different mountain towns. There's one in Felton, California, I think, and I don't live too far from there. I found out a couple years ago that there is a few statues in an area that I grew up going to visit my grandparents near Oroville, California, and that was pretty neat. And so things like that. So I didn't really spend time on studying like what people experience of them, what do they look like, deeply, what somebody's encounter with them, all that. I didn't really do any of that forever. Didn't really spend any time on that. I mean, probably a lot of us have seen a random like cast, a picture of a cast of a footprint or that sort of thing. So that, and that's it. Okay, so I go to this place and hear about what they're doing, and that really resonated with me deeply. Them being called the tree people and what they're doing, because that seems like, I don't know, gentle and special and in line with nature, and them living in the forests and kind of blending in to their environment and however they do it. I grew up since probably an infant being, out in the wilderness settings like of Northern California, going up logging roads or going to find some old abandoned gold mine. And, my dad loved to do that kind of stuff. So I have experienced that. I grew up going to the Santa Cruz Mountains since I was, by myself, going, wandering off, doing whatever I want to do since I was in elementary school. Then, got older, got into backpacking and Yosemite and that sort of thing. So I just love being outside. I love nature. I feel very comfortable there. I don't feel scared. I'm not worried about animals. I mean, I'd be aware. I mean, ever since I was little, been into like studying about all that. I used to get like Ranger Rick magazines, and I did some park management courses, learning about outdoor skills stuff, learning about animals more so. What do black bears and brown bears do, and where they're located, and about mountain lions and things like that. So anyways, I started thinking more about the tree people. I just really like that, and so I don't know, somewhere in there, I can't remember exactly, on Facebook, I came upon a Facebook group that talks about their experiences or what they've seen or their discussion on who they are, what they're about, and are they real or not or whatever. And somewhere in there, that was probably like 2-3 months ago, I asked, can some people like tell me their experiences? I want to hear about your experiences. And so this lady said to look up Dixie Cryptid on YouTube. So I had no idea what that was about, but I did. And I just got so sucked in to listening to the stories. And the guy that tells the stories, people will send him their stories and he will read them. But he does it so well that it's just he has such a nice voice. So I really enjoyed listening to the stories. And so that, that was going on. And somewhere in there, I remembered an experience that I had where I was mountain biking, and I was in Northern California above Auburn, California, and we were in a forest setting, a single track trail, and we were out in an area where it was likely that we didn't come upon anybody else. We were out there all by ourselves, mountain biking. I was first going probably about 15-20 miles per hour, and I come around a left turn, and there was something, an animal, like ran across the road, across the trail from right to left, and was gone. And it was wide. It was fur. There was like matted, thick brown fur. Like, I'm going to say reddish brown fur. And it was moving super fast. And then once it was gone, I could still, there was a scent that was sort of, had followed it. And so for years, that was my bear story. But then as I started listening to these people's stories, I realized, wait a second. And then I started really kind of thinking about my story. There was no sound that came from it. There was no sound of it tearing through the trees. It moved super fast. And I mean like a bird, okay? I mean, again, another thing that triggered all this was I was watching a video of these guys filming a grizzly bear running. And there was a car, like a Jeep, that was also following with it. So to show how fast a grizzly bear can run. But like, that's like not, like that's like they have to build up speed to get that fast. This was like, bam, 0 to 1,000, like super quick to get out of the way. Like it did not want to get run over by me or be seen by me or whatever. And then this scent, okay, like the studying about these different scents. No, it didn't smell like, some people describe it as like combination of like sewer and like nasty, really nasty smell. This was like a gamey, horsey, but not scent. But I mean, I've been around in nature since I was very little. I've never smelled that smell before. So I could be mistaken it. Like maybe I've never heard anyone talk about bears smelling like this smell. So that was pretty interesting. And then I was fishing, trout fishing in Idaho, and along it was in a river, and on the other side of the river there was a big sand area, and then a big boulder, and then basically just wilderness, just up of trees. Like you can't see anything other than trees. And I was, my boyfriend at the time, he wanted to go get more lures or whatever at the closest store, which was like 20 miles away. So I decided to stay. I felt completely fine with staying by myself. And there was a highway like behind me that no one was on because it was like a mountain road of very, wildernessy area. And I was paying attention, of course. I don't want to get jumped on by a mountain lion or something like that. So I'm just looking around, and then I started, I noticed that in the sand across the way, there was one set of these footprints. They were really big footprints coming down to the water. And I remember thinking that was pretty interesting. I'd never seen that before in all my years. And the footprints were pretty sized apart. And I was noticing that, and then I heard and looked up into the wilderness. That's like, I don't know, like how far above where this boulder was to the left, a tree like snapped and moved, like a big tree, like it just like, and that made me go, whoa, like what was that? Again, I've been in forests where off in the distance you hear a tree fall. Like I've heard that before in my life a couple times. That's pretty interesting. But I've never heard this. So again, I was like, is that a bear? Like, I was like waiting to see what was going to come down out of the forest onto the sand area. Nothing ever came. So that happened. So I just am remembering these things as I have been listening more and more to these stories. So one night I'm listening to Dixie Cryptid, and then all of a sudden this other video came on, and this other guy's voice, and I started listening to him, and his YouTube channel is called howtohunt.com. And I really recommend him too, because he not only tells his hunting stories that are amazing, but then he also tells his Sasquatch stories and other people's stories that he has asked to their face, have you ever had an experience? And then they'll tell his story, or also people will email him their stories, and then he'll share it. And he's out in his setting and wherever he's at in Canada or whatever. And so I really recommend these two guys. And so, yeah, I've been to these different places that have multiple unique experiences on them. And I've been enjoying, going to these places where there's, ghosts, spirits, experiences with the elements, nature, with possible Sasquatch land where they live or go back and forth from, UFO stuff, special phenomena, like whether it's geologically, like lots of different things. I'll talk more about that in another video, but so I wanted to share this, and I've been really enjoying going on these trips. I really like going to places with good energy. It's much more enjoyable to me. I know that there's people out there, like the people who like to go to places that they hear are haunted, or that there's been cryptid, I don't know what the other name is, like different, creatures that have been sighted and stuff like that. I recommend going to a place that has really high energy, good energy, so you can feel that, so that you can experience what that's like. It's much more of an enjoyable experience. Also, if you go to a place that has had more negative experiences, you definitely have a possibility of attracting not as great of experiences into your own life. So definitely better to go in the other direction. It's more, pleasant. So thanks for listening, and I'd love to hear your feedback. Share your stories if you want to. Don't have to say your name. I mean, I'll see it. I don't know how you do that, but like I won't, on my other videos, I won't say your name if you don't want me to, but I'm getting more and more, interested in this topic of which I like to call them the tree people, because that just feels really good to me. I have been, like I said, out in nature since very little, and nature's been very kind to me. So maybe that's partly why, I haven't had any, big experiences, because they feel safe with me, or that I don't know. I don't have all the answers. But I have felt very comfortable in nature, and so thanks for listening, you guys, and have a great day, and look for my other videos. Bye.